Hey guys, King of Charmander here, your judge, your jury, and your analyst, and today I bring to you the top 5 teams of Open Master League. I hate Open Master League, let's just put that out there. I feel really gypped by Niantic, because before level 50 came out, I was one of those hardcore raiders. And a lot of the Pokemon that are level 50 now, I definitely would have had enough XL candy if the XL system was out back in the day. So I think how Niantic really kind of gypped, it was genius marketing, because that kind of FOMO'd your way to victory, so that people that were level 50, essentially had to start over. And now you have to spend $90 or more per mon if you want to get a level 50 version, including all the money you're going to spend to go after a perfect. So yes, Open Master League is very, very vicious because it's full of legendaries. There are teams that don't need legendaries that work, however you still need XL candy for them. Remember I mentioned about the whole grinding or level 50 or XL candy being released before? All the efforts we made grinding while we were level 40 could have been level 50. If you released level 50 at the beginning of the game, it would have been a lot better for other people, because yeah, but it would have taken a lot to get to 200 million XP anyways, but still. In other words, Open Master League is pretty merciless. Some of you did ask, hey, can you do an Open Master League analysis? And yes, here I will give you some top teams. Word of warning though, Open Master League isn't as kind as I would say. Yeah, it's not as kind as the Hisui Cup, but both of them are kind of RPS-y, or ones are just really overbearing, like domination. Yeah, it's just chaos. I would have really preferred that Master League Classic be out than level 50 Master League, but you don't have a choice. So if you don't have Open Master League mons, you can play the Hisui Cup. If you don't want to play this week, just don't play this week. That's probably the one I advise the most to you. Just don't play this week, y'all. It's really merciless right now. But before we get started, this is my therapist mental health tip of the day. As usual, you could skip this by just going to the chapters in the description below. And this is about relaxation. So a lot of us are pissed off right now, right? Yeah, like Hisui Cup, ill. RPS, Open Master League, ill. The Whale Cup, you might as well call it the Whale Cup. This is the Whale Cup. But relaxation techniques is a pretty broad worksheet of teaching about relaxation. It's deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, imagery using relaxation techniques. So it's just a brief one on how to use each technique and just to relax. Because when people relax, it's not just going out and walking and playing Pokemon Go or something like that. No, it's actually skills that you develop to relax in intense situations, or to be very mindful. It's like yoga, yoga, like the Zen kind of concept. Yeah, that's basically what relaxation does. But this good worksheet I'm putting in the description below, and even I need to learn to relax sometimes. But mine is actually for sleep. What I do is like pretty much muscle relaxation imagery. That's what I do. I pretty much imagine that I'm like at a beach, because I use the Calm app to like, my favorite one is beach sounds. So then I just hear like the water going, you just pretend I'm at the beach, and then like I'm taking it like I'm going on a 10, and then I eventually fall asleep in like 2 minutes. Not even 2 minutes, like 30 seconds. I go to sleep, I fall asleep really fast. So again, great worksheet. And without further ado, these are the top 5 teams for the Open Master League in Season 11, and let's get started. Alright, for team number 1, we have Excadrill, Dialga, and Lugia. Pretty basic team. I think the idea of this team is really Excadrill break shield, and then Dialga and Lugia close out. The only issue is that if you get a Zacian or if you get a Machamp lead, it could be really rough, because Excadrill and Dialga will get absolutely squished by a Machamp. Along with that, if you do see something like Melmetal does outpace Excadrill, just because with Superpower, you could get to up to 2 Superpowers and then break both shields. And along the fact that when Excadrill, one Drill Run won't KO a level 50 Melmetal, even if Excadrill is level 50. Overall, it's a really solid team, but that's the basis for it. You break both shields, and you break shield with Excadrill, and hopefully Dialga and Lugia can close out. This team isn't really super safe in my opinion, just because yes, you could safe switch with Lugia, but at the same time, Dialga and Excadrill getting locked into that like Machamp Machamp and Zacian can give you a hard time just because close combat will do a lot of damage against Excadrill and Dialga, or it will force you to break shields. Also kind of accessible, level 50 Dialga and level 50 Lugia do cost a lot of Stardust, but we already know that because we're doing Open Master League. So I already mentioned the Metal matchup here. Mamoswine can also give you a hard time against Excadrill. It will be super effective, but Mamoswine has to bulldoze you. It's not a terrible matchup in the 2-shield because Rock Slide does do super effective damage, but Mamoswine's avalanches will do neutral damage and they will chunk. So number 5 team, there are other combinations here, but I don't feel like I'm super comfortable with it just because, like I mentioned, with Dialga and Excadrill. At the same time, as you see here, there's a lot of things that can beat Excadrill and Lugia, or just give Dialga and just give them a really hard time. Next up, we have Palkia, Metagross, and Zacian. Zacian is the most broken thing since sliced bread for Open Master League. This is why Zacian's in the number 1 and in the number 4 team because of its charge move combination. I thought Zacian was going to be pretty dang good when it first came out. Zamazenta, no, but Zacian, the reason why I'm not too sold on the hero version is because the hero many battles gets absolutely trucked by the crown version. The crown version is obscenely overpowered. So when the crown version comes out, it's going to literally be the greatest thing since sliced bread and a more overpowered version of the hero version. But if you want to climb elo easily, you use Zacian because Zacian is just that freaking good. In most meta teams, you will see a Zacian in it. Even if it does get hit by something like a Metagross, Zacian's coverage with Playoff and Wild Charge and Close Combat make it such a beast. This one is using Close Combat Pay Rough, that's your general thing, but Close Combat will still hit, even at neutral damage, will still do a lot of damage. Yeah, it's going to do a lot. But as you see across the board, a lot of bulk. Metagross makes up, Metagross and Palkia, even though they're not super bulky, the combination of this team is still able to do. I'm just assuming that like level 50 is just all bulk because Palkia isn't really a super bulky mon. I think Metagross is the reason why the bulk is so high in this team, but I don't think Zacian is super bulky either, so I just don't know. Giratina Alter, though, can be level 50, and as you see here, it does well against your Metagross, and Origins does as well. However, Palkia does beat Origins. It doesn't beat Altered, though. So this is a Dragon Tail. Yes, Dragon Tail Palkia. What makes it kind of iffy is if you don't get your Zacian in the lead, you can send in Palkia, but Palkia's Aqua Tails aren't going to do much damage against Zacian, so it's a little rough. Along with Lugia. Lugia is insanely bulky and very, very tanky. And because Dialga takes neutral damage, if you see Dialga in a lead, it will very likely be, well, it's going to be Palkia. Also, Dragonite is a little rough to go around as well, just because Dragonite does have Dragon Claw, while Palkia doesn't really have. Palkia has only access to a dragon move is Draco Meteor. So you're either going to hit the big Hail Mary nuke or, yeah. Along with that, Palkia isn't super accessible right now, so it's not in raids. But if you raid and got a level 50 Palkia, then you might like this team. But for my, even though this is a top team, I'm kind of scratching my head at Palkia because, as you see here, your biggest weaknesses are Zekrom and Reshiram. Palkia can lose to pretty much most of the other Dragon-type Pokemon because of Dragon Breath. Even though Dragon Breath does super effective damage, the problem with Palkia is that Draco Meteor takes way too long to get to, and Aqua Tail, in comparison to level 40, doesn't have a lot of targets in this meta. So, as you see here, Reshiram, Giratina Altered is still a possibility out here because level 50 Dragon is very thick as a XL. So, high threat score. If you lose the lead, you're going to stay switch in a Zacian, and hopefully Metagross can close out. I'm guessing the reason why this team is still so good is because Metagross has great coverage with Meteor Mash and Earthquake. Earthquake can take out Dialga at a certain range, and Meteor Mash can KO Zacian in one shot. So, solid team. Rated at number 4. The only iffy thing I have about it is pretty much Palkia. It doesn't have a lot of long-term use, so this is the only. But at number 4, this team is still very, very strong. All right, next up we have Zekrom, Dialga, and Lugia. Zekrom in the lead is very good because of Wild Charge. The problem is Zacian. Yeah, hate Zacians. But we have Dialga and Lugia. So with Dialga and Lugia, this is a triple dragon attack team. You're either going to do fast damage with, it's just either Dragon Breath and Dragon Tails to Oblivion. Overall coverage, bulk, and safety, very good on all grades. This team does a lot of damage unless you see a Zacian. The problem with this team is having triple Dragon Breath can also be very, very risky, just because there's a lot of things out here that could possibly take you out, like Giratina Altered. So if you look at the overall meta, Giratina Altered gives you a very hard time as it beats all 3 of these Pokemon. So yeah, it's very, very rough when you go against Big Thick Ghost Dragon. There's still win conditions, but you're going to have to, if you lose the lead, you're definitely going to have to be a little fancy or try to break shields or come out with energy management. The problem with Zekrom Dialga is because both of them are using Dragon Breath, they don't charge very fast. Lugia kind of does, but the problem with Lugia is that Lugia does suffer against Steel types and Ghost types, which this team struggles against. But the good thing about this team is that it features 3 super meta Pokemon, and it does a lot of damage over time. So Dragon Breaths can wipe out your opponent, or you can come out with some kind of win conditions overall. Lots of coverage over against the overall meta though, so it's very, very strong. The issue is if you go down here is Excadrill. Excadrill against Zekrom is a terrible matchup for you. Excadrill is a lot more accessible than Zekrom, Dialga, or Lugia, and Excadrill does resist all 3 of these mom's Dragon Breaths. Along with that, Mamoswine is a lot more accessible as well, giving you a hard time against Zekrom just because Mamoswine's Powder Snows do super effective damage, and Avalanche will chunk both Zekrom and Lugia. Mamoswine can also bulldoze Dialga for the W. So, even though this team did rank at I believe number 5 overall, it's very, very rough if you see an Excadrill. Excadrill is a lot more accessible than the 3 that I mentioned. Excadrill and Mamoswine both have potential for level 50, and they're a lot easier to access. So this team, as powerful as it is, it could be really painful to run if you see an Excadrill in any form, which is very popular here. So, however, if you do see something like Kyogre does struggle against Zekrom. It also struggles against Dialga just because waterfalls are resisted. And if outside of seeing like Excadrill or Mamoswine, this team can rock the rest of the meta. Or at Giratina Altered, because Giratina Altered is just super thick. And like I mentioned, with Zekrom and Lugia taking big damage against those Shadow Claws or even Dragon Breath, it's really, really rough for you. Alright, next up we have Dragonite, Excadrill, and Metagross. This is probably the most accessible combination out of them all. It is the strongest ABB combination. This takes team number 2 and number 4 respectively. I believe number 4 is just Dragon Breath, but the Dragon Tail version breaks in at number 2. So this is the only team that has no legendaries in it or mythicals as far as Melmetal. So this team is actually very accessible if you have all of the... I mean, I know there's been plenty of events, etc. So if you grind it heavily, you probably have a level 50 Dragonite, level 50 Excadrill, and level 50 Metagross. It's very possible. The only problem with this team is you're not very, very safe on the safety scale, but it did rank at number 2. Dragonite is incredibly powerful because of its ability to essentially just run through a lot of different combinations with heavy damage, Dragon Claw, and Hurricane. However, with Dragonite, it's very, very risky just because Dragonite isn't the bulkiest thing in the world. Dragon Breath, Dragonite does our Dragon Tail. I mean, actually, is this Dragon Tail? Yeah, this is the Dragon Tail version. Yes, Dragon Tail. So Dragon Tail will beat a lot of combinations like Dragon leads in Zekrom. You also beat things Giratina Origin. You can also take out Groudon just because you basically wall Groudon to oblivion. You also take out things like Mewtwo, Palkia, Zaru just because you resist those Vine Whips. You don't resist the Soundstorm, however, so if you ask what track that is, unfortunately, well, actually, you do resist Sandstorm, you know what I mean? But if you know the reference I'm talking about, you know the reference I'm talking about. What's really rough is Zacian. Zacian, as you see, Zacian either can be Dragonite just because Dragon Breaths are resisted, or it will give your back row one hell of a close combat. But this team is very powerful just because of pressure, and like I mentioned, Dragonite's ability to take out both Kyogre, Groudon, and the Dragon-type leads as well. So it's very, very solid combination. Dragonite is also a great supporting lead for Excadrill and Metagross. As you see over here for potential threats, Your only issue is Melmetal. Melmetal is going to be a very, very dangerous mon for you. If you lose the lead, you say switch into Excadrill. However, Excadrill doesn't do great against things like Kyogre. So if you have a Kyogre in the back, that's why we have Kyogre to go against Dragonite. You want to match Kyogre against Dragonite as much as possible because Blizzard takes a long time to get to. But as you see, this, as far as ABB goes, that's the general reason for ABB. Your B is out there to either bait out, or it's just a strong generalist mon that could hopefully make you take back switch and keep alignment. But in Open Master League, that's really, really rough. However, like I mentioned, this is the more accessible team out of others, and Dragonite does support Excadrill and Metagross well. If you lose the lead with Dragonite, you say switch it Excadrill, and hopefully Dragonite and Metagross can close out with an energy lead. Alright, and for the number 1 team, this was the number 1 rated one. It was Lugia, Groudon, and Zacian. Super meta as hell, or super meta AF, whichever one you call it if you want the unfiltered version. Lugia lead, Groudon, and then Zacian to close out. You lose the lead, Zacian is your safe switch. However, Lugia is actually pretty solid. Lugia with Dragon Tail, because of Dragon Tail's buff, it made it incredibly powerful. And then Groudon in the middle, and then you have Zacian to close out. Groudon can close out against a lot of combinations, particularly the steel typings, because of Earthquake, and Fire Punch can chunk away at a few things. However, the issue here is that if you look over here, all of them are all of them are obscenely expensive. Lugia, Groudon, and Zacian are all legendaries, of course, but that's a lot of the issues with a lot of these other teams, so I guess that's just beating a dead horse. Good grades across the board. Giratina Alter can give you a hard time with this team, which is why Zacian here is carrying Play Rough. Play Rough is literally just because of Giratina Alter's existence. If Giratina Alter didn't exist, then Wild Charge Close Combat would just kill the entire Open Master League. So if you lose the lead, you're going to say switch into Zacian, try to break as many shields you can. Lugia and Groudon close out. Pretty basic and generic team, but this team did grade very high overall. However, just like with any Open Master League team, you're going to have that one thing that's going to be super annoying. Giratina, Avalugg, and Mew. Obviously, you're not going to see Avalugg and Mew, but Giratina Origin is very much out there. It does beat out Lugia, Groudon, and Zacian, or gives all 3 of these mons a hard time. With Groudon, you have to Earthquake. With Zacian, it still takes a minute for you to get to those Play Roughs. So Giratina Origin can go to town in the 2 shield, or if Giratina Origin has shields. As you see in the 2 shield, Giratina Origin will comfortably give Lugia a very hard time because Omnibus in, and that's not even considering if it boosts or not. Along with Groudon in the 2 shield, if you do see a Groudon, or if you switch it into 2 shield, as you see, it can beat you just straight Shadow Ball. Or you could double Shadow Ball, or you could block a Shadow Ball even, so you could bait with a Shadow Ball, double Shadow Ball, and then Omnibus Wind, and then go out for the W. So that's just how powerful Giratina Origin is against this overall team. Again, Zacian, Giratina Origin can lose, however, it needs to be in the zeros or you having shield advantage. The 1 shield isn't even super comfortable because as you see here, you literally die. You get the Hail Mary Play Rough off, however, if you have a little bit of HP, Giratina Origin can come out with a W. So, and again, that doesn't even considering that if it boosts or not, if it tries to bait you with Omnibus Wind. So as you see, straight Shadow Ball can still win it. But if you bait with Omnibus Wind, or if you get the boost, it's still game over. So outside, what you have to do in the 2 shield is against Origins is that you're gonna have to just flush it out with Lugia and Zacian, and then hopefully Groudon and Zacian can close out the match for you. But outside of that, if you don't see a Giratina Origin or Giratina Alter, because Alter can still give you a hard time as well, this team is very solid. So that's why it ranked so high, and that's why it rated at 600 plus, which is a very ridiculous rating. But if you have all 3 mons, very powerful combination, pretty simply used. Lose the lead, go to Zacian, and then Lugia and Groudon close out. And that's game. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Hopefully this gives you a good idea of what to run for Open Master League. Again, a lot of these teams are super inaccessible unless you spent all the bread so that you can get the level 50 versions, or you rated a lot to get that XL candy, so that the XL rare candy, so that you can throw it into the mons that you want to build. The number 2 team, the one I mentioned with Dragonite, Excadrill, and Metagross, that's probably the most successful team and statistically is the number 2 team, so that could probably get you a lot of results without having to build any legendaries. So that's probably the best team out of barrier to entry. I still don't like this cup, but hopefully those of you that want to play it, hopefully this gives you an idea. Or if I had to pick the better evil, this is the better evil than the Husui cup, because with some energy management and some awareness of matchups, this cup is definitely a lot better than the Husui cup / the Sinnoh cup. So again, if you don't like this week, you could just skip till next week. There's still a lot of Go Battle League left. There's still a month left. So if you're worried about Legend, don't worry about it. You still have a month and you don't have to play this week. That's possibly going to make it so that you perform worse rather than actually make some gains, because it's very, very chaotic right now. So it's a coin flip to where whether or not you can actually climb or not right now. If you climb, that's great. If you don't climb, well, it's not your fault. It's just what it is. These cups are both very, very unforgiving. And why did you have to put both of these together? If I knew that the Husui cup was going to come out this time around, I thought it was going to be something like Fancy Cup, something interesting. But no, they did the Husui cup and I cried because, yeah, I would have tried a lot harder in the previous cups than this cup. Or I would have made Legend a lot earlier instead of trying to screw around. But I just want my Stardust. If anything that gives you a motivator, Stardust is, you get at least 20k Stardust if you finish all your sets. So there's still a reason to do all your sets every day. It's just not only just for practice, but also so that you can get the Stardust. Get that dust, or just wait till next week. Do me a huge favor, please like and subscribe for the YouTube algorithm. Like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. I do appreciate y'all. I really do hope you are climbing. Again, you can skip this week if you want to, or look forward to the next following cups. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets, and I will see y'all on the next video.
That I made, all the things that I have craved, these are what I could have saved.